Oh, I wanted to point out I went and saw Savannah Bananas, got myself some merch.
It's a pretty sweet hat.
Yeah.
Jealous. They're
Lots good.
I was gonna say, much like the Globetrotters of baseball. Um, do they win every game? Because
I
Globetrotters always win. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, they make it interesting. They were trailing. They always come back and win.
But like I said, like I feel like one of the that's kind of I mean I get the trope, like they always win the better, but like I feel like they could also make it work while actually playing the game, and it being like I wish they would have
It's
than just
it is a circus. It is like how people refer to pro wrestling as sports entertainment. This is absolutely sports entertainment. This is
yeah.
it,
It
it
was
is
like
every at bat, I swear, like they literally start the game and then they do a trick play and they're like, that's the 500 trick play. And then they go to a video package for like 2 or 3 minutes of all the trick plays throughout the season. So it's like, it's just mocking sporting events and live sporting events.
yeah, but like I said, but like I mean, like they could do 7 innings instead of nine and make it like somewhat of a I don't know who's gonna win because I can only see the Globetrotters beat the Generals so many times. You know what I mean? Like, I wish they could get like a whole like entertainment league, or at least like 6 teams. That way they can like script the tournaments and stuff too. You know?
You know what you can't script? Friendship. And we're talking
Well,
about Teen Titans, the Judas Contract. I don't know. I had no segue. I had nothing. So I was like, I'm just
no,
gonna
I started rambling.
well, we got
So
on the Savannah Bananas topic and then we lost it. But yeah, back doing regular scheduled programming. We took to the commentary episode, we did the Gotham Knights episode. Now we're back in the DCAMU. Which is good because this actually does reference the other movies did, but I think this one I noticed more referencing the previous movies that we did.
mhm.
Especially because if you remember, Deathstroke died in Son of Batman, but you can't do the Judas Contract without Deathstroke. So he
It's true.
does spoilers. He plays a role in this movie. Um,
Spoilers if you haven't read it either. Pretty sure it's the book of Matthew. Uh, Judas portrays Jesus. Um, Bottom line, uh, yeah.
yeah,
So betrayal.
yeah.
Except
Um,
she sold him for sex instead of 30 pieces of silver, which that's another point that I want to discuss. And part of the reason why my score is a little bit lower on this movie.
um, well, it's an interesting approach because I think it was kind of cool and smart to after Teen Titans versus Justice League to go into this and kind of
Mhm.
do this version of the Titans. I I kind of thought the dynamic was interesting that Nightwing and Starfire were kind of like the parents of the Teen
Yeah,
Titans.
I like it because essentially they're the only two. So I want to start at the beginning and the OG team that they used. So like
Yeah.
Speed, Kid Flash.
Yeah, because it
Uh,
starts in a flashback 5 years before this movie. And yeah, the lineup is Dick Grayson as Robin, Speedy, Kid Flash, Beast Boy, and Bumblebee. So that's the
which
lineup.
I thought was a different take because most of the versions that I know is Bumblebee's later too. Like she
Yeah.
would be with this current cast, and Raven would be an OG member.
And Kid Flash and isn't Speedy on Young Justice too?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where
Young
I think
Justice,
of it.
Young Justice is probably my favorite iteration of Titans. The original Teen Titans show is really good too, and I've talked boners about that multiple times on here already. But I
Both
think that
potential episodes.
great. Those are good because they touch base on this too, in a different light. And this, I like this version too, except again, and this is part of my rating, and we'll touch base on that more. But I didn't care for this version of Slade and Tara's relationship.
Yeah, kind of creepy.
With that being said, we're gonna rewind, go back to the beginning.
The movie. Yeah, we'll get there.
When Starfire shows up, and they're like, who do we help? And then they go on, and he's like, it also helps that she's hot. And I'm like, they emphasize Starfire and her sexuality
TNA,
so hard.
baby.
And it's like,
yeah. Well, so what's funny about it is like, the thing that they set up is when Dick sees her for the first time, he instantly falls in love with her. And it's like, well, yeah, how old is Dick at this point? And look at the way she's drawn. Of course, any teenage boy is gonna.
If it's 5 years ago, and he's still Robin, so he's got to be. I mean, obviously he's in his teens, so like
he's in the Teen Titans. Damn it,
he's driving. We'll say he's 17 this time because he's able to drive. I mean, he's a sidekick. I get it. He can drive.
Hopefully, he's 18 because Starfire kisses him. So.
Yeah, but we also don't know how old Starfire is.
You know what? Yeah, maybe the whole that's different in space, Luke. Maybe.
Well, let's say like, maybe in Tamranian years, she's like 35, but she's only 16 by Earth years. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Whatever helps you sleep at night, I guess. You know? So yeah, the fight breaks out. That's how we get introduced to Starfire. She kisses Dick to learn the language, which makes me laugh because then Beast Boy's like, I know Spanish.
Yeah,
a little bit of Spanish.
He's like, fucking, I took a freshman
high school French. Is good stuff. And then so yeah, we fast forward to now, and Dick is Nightwing, and he's again. Tara refers to him as like the den mother.
Yeah.
Who's kind of stewarding this new generation of Teen Titans. And it's kind of cool because that's how we set up that we're gonna go after the big bad, which is Brother Blood, who is a pretty common Teen Titans villain. And Mother Mayhem. Great names, DC. Great names. Brother Blood and Mother Mayhem.
The Nightwing suit in this one, I don't care for the red. I'm not a fan of the red.
I never liked the red on Nightwing.
The baby blue, or like the bright like navy, like
yeah.
It just I need the pop. I need because the red just. And again, it's probably me just growing up, and it gives me too much Chris O'Donnell vibe.
Yeah, I don't like the red either because this is the new 52 suit, and I've always preferred the blue. Because I think the blue looks better. Funny enough, I actually was watching, because I watched it before you did, and I was waiting for you to finish it, so I was catching up because I haven't watched any of the new season of Harley Quinn. But I also remembered I didn't even finish season 3, so I was going back and watching like the second half of season 3, and that they introduced Nightwing in that, and his costume that whole time I watched it, I'm like, how is it that Harley Quinn, this raunchy adult comedy, goodness gracious, I can't talk, raunchy adult comedy, has a better suit than he did in this the Teen Titans movie that I just watched, and it's like. The animation's fine. His character model looks fine. It's just, I never vibed with the red. I just think it never. And honestly, the red has worked in the Batman suit, but red is not the color that I like to think of with the Bat characters.
I always go with Injustice, like the alternate timeline where Damian is Nightwing and he's a fucking just little prick. And that's usually where I think of the red. And I still don't like it, but that's where I'm a little lenient on it. So it's different.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about Starfire and Dick's banter and their like the way that they were like super in sync.
I ship it.
Fighting, and
I ship it. I liked it
when they were like saying, "Let's do that one move that we were practicing," and then she immediately goes.
Well, I don't think they like it. Yeah.
You want me to do it right in front of everyone?
Yeah.
And I mean that's throughout the whole entire thing because they're just talking about sex a lot.
Well, okay, so then it makes me think. So these guys that have been working on this run of DC animated movies, I feel like two things. One, they all like Dick Grayson because Dick Grayson has been featured in, I want to say, what, like 3 of the last 4 movies we've done. Dick was featured because he was a huge part. He's been a crucial
He was in
character to at least 2. He at least 2 because he shows up in Son of Batman. He's a big part of Bad Blood, and he's a big part of this. But he's shown up in like 3 of the last 4 because he wasn't in Teen Titans versus Justice League. But that is the thing that I was always
Robin too, wasn't he?
And yeah, he was.
Like 4 out of the 5.
He was training with Damian. But the thing that gets me about that too, so one, I think they really like Dick Grayson, and then 2, they really like to write about those 2 fucking because in Bad Blood there's a call. Yeah, every time she's calling him about fucking. Like how much is Starfighter and Dick banging? Like that's what I want to know. And so more importantly,
in training, it said 2 minutes, and she was like, "Oh, that lasted longer than last time." And then she's like, "Oh,
he fucks me well, kids."
He's like, "Jesus."
No, in the bedroom, he's much longer. Fucking teenagers, sexual harassment.
The other thing that I didn't understand because they do the callback of Beast Boy being on the OG team, and then he's on this team too. Is it the same guy?
Yeah. How old is Beast Boy?
How old was he? Because I mean, I would assume maybe 20 at this time, because 5 years ago, 15.
Or they're saying that he was like 12 or 13 when he was first with the team.
Young.
That would be my guess, is how they would kind of hand wave that away. Because if we're being technical, I don't think a lot of them are actually. Well, they're. I don't know. It's because Starfire. Yeah, we don't know if she's a teenager. And Raven,
she's not anymore.
Is Raven really a teenager? You know, she's the son of Trigon. Well, you know, or the daughter of Trigon. Excuse me. But you know.
And then okay, so they get the mission completed. They do the thing.
They're raiding they complete their raid, but
and then Nightwing basically proposes with an apartment key.
Yeah, he wants to move in with.
And then I did, and again, it's the sucker for the fucking Bat family, because little brother goes to him and he gives him the sign of approval. Like that's stupid shit.
That whole exchange was great because that is when he shows up and he's like, "Do you ever not wear this?" When he goes, "When I shower," and he goes, "Yeah, speaking of, maybe you should."
And he's like, "I'm fine.
Take one." But yeah, the whole "she has my blessing," and he's just like, "Thanks," because he's trying to just have a conversation with Damian, and Damian's like, "What's your angle here?" And he's like, "I'm just talking to you. Like, you know, this is what human beings do. They just have conversations." And then that led to like, "Oh yeah, you guys are great together. She has my blessing. Live together." And I was like, "Thanks." And I love how Dick accepts it as a way of like, "Thanks." Like it was really important, when it's like, who fucking cares? Like I don't need your fucking approval. Um, the I liked what they did with Brother Blood, and I like that whole setup. But my one of my problems with the story and how this like they introduce him, they make him as like the threat, but knowing DC, I know that Deathstroke's going to show up. I know Deathstroke's really going to be the main thing because the Judas Contract has always been about Deathstroke fighting the Teen Titans. But like he disappears for a good portion of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then he could show up with the third act, so then we could have the fight with the Titans and him.
Dude,
I just think
fucking
it was a kind of
hardcore.
could have done with more of like little like cuts to him and what he's
They
doing in the background. You know what I
made
mean?
this. They almost should have made this like two different movies.
Because
To
they
like,
smashed
yeah,
two
because
common Teen Titans characters into one movie.
this was an hour and 20 minutes, so that's almost 20 minutes longer than a lot of these other ones have been.
Yeah, it's a
And so
longer
like
one.
they packed a lot.
Oh, the next
But
one's long too. The next one's like feature length too. It's like about an hour and a half too. The Suicide
the,
Squad movie.
the fucking the scene where Blood is in like the jacuzzi, like the hot tub deal, and she comes in and is talking
Oh,
to
this is
him,
a cool scene. I really like
and I'm
this.
like,
Yeah.
dude, this fucking thing was so fucking metal because he says something along the lines of I bathe in the blood of my enemy, and he like
That's what
looks up,
keeps him alive.
crucified, fucking bleeding into the tub, and he's just chilling in it. Like
Yeah.
it's what gives him his immortality and his fucking power. Like, dude,
Yeah.
that shit's crazy.
Yeah. But he is apparently made this plan 9 centuries in the making, which makes me laugh because I'm always like 9 centuries, 900 years, and this is the best plan you got. But anyway, before that, the reason he was on doing a TV interview because that religion that he created was getting steam, and they did a sit down like CNN 60-minute style interview, and the guy kept questioning him. I'm like, don't you think this is like a cult? And then then we get that scene of him in the jacuzzi and the dude just being hung up by his
Basically
wrists.
saying, "Don't fuck with me, bro,
He's bleeding.
because I don't take shit."
Yeah. But then they're like, why aren't you worried that the Teen Titans keep Nightwing and the Teen
Yeah,
Titans
the good side,
messing up
man.
our bases? And he's like, I got a plan. And then dun dun dun, Deathstroke's alive again because he's talking to him in a cemetery because he's in a cemetery. He's like, why are we always coming here? He's like, having because Blood's talking and there's just nobody else there. Of course, Slade is there, but he's talking not at Slade, and Slade's like, "Why do you want to meet here?" And it's kind of creepy that you're talking to these in the cemetery. And and he's like, "Well, I talk to the dead, whatever. Pay attention because that sets something up later." Um,
Because there is still, even in death, there's still a little wisp of life left.
yeah. So anyway, that's the setup of like, what's the plan? Oh, he wants Deathstroke to get the Teen Titans and go after them, and that's how we get the Judas contract set up. So, but yes, the big reveal there, of course, is Deathstroke was back. I really liked the guy who did Deathstroke's voice. I thought he was pretty good. I actually really like Deathstroke in this because he is such a shitbag, and not even for me. I don't have a problem liking shitbag characters. He was such a douche that I really hated him, and it was very effective of him being the villain because he was annoyingly good. And you're
Yeah,
like, in your head, you're thinking like, well, how are they going to beat this guy if he can just easily beat the fuck out of Nightwing like he did and beat the fuck out of all these kids,
which
you know?
that's another thing is
And that's
I have
good. That's good that he's
separate
frustratingly that good.
two separate notes. The one is when he's fighting Robin, when he's like, "Oh, should have known you've been palling around in a Lazarus pit." When him and Robin are fighting, and they're back and forth, and then he gets trapped in the concrete. Later on, they have the band. He keeps trying to get a rise out of Slade to get him to.
And he just says, what the hell?
He just smacks him and
He says,
shit.
fuck it, pretty
And he
much.
says, he says,
Oh, and he called him a dick?
yeah, he's texting and he's and he was like, "Oh, that's right, you're more of a dick." And then he says, I'm out on patrol. Don't bother me. Like that shit was funny. And then when he's fighting fucking Nightwing, and he goes, "Your whatever fighting style is a little off.
Oh,
Your your
you're
moves are shoddy." And then he goes, "Nightwing, overrated." That shit
he
hilarious.
says your I think he said your Kenta is too is it needs work. Your spacing is shit, is what he
Yeah,
said. And yeah, and that was
he's
great.
like, "Wow,
The one that
night
made me go,
overrated."
okay, all right, was when he fucking throws an essay at Jaime. I'm like, geez, like it's not a slur, but it's still kind of like racially charged. And I was like, whoa, when he says that would be the pod essay, and I'm like, okay, all right, Slade. Like it wasn't again, it's not a slur, it's not anything terrible, but it's still like obviously racially charged. And I was like, okay. Um, no,
And
yeah, I think
the where he's
Slade.
like, beat the crap out of him for being mouthy. He like looks and he goes, "You guys know what I'm talking about."
You know you want to, yeah. That's the thing is I think they did a really good job of making a good Slade, enough, like I said, that he's likable, but I'm also like he's really a shitty person and really a shitbag because of the way that he talks to these teenagers, and also let's not brush past the fact that he's beating the shit out of teenagers.
Yeah. Well, that's not brush.
Nightwing's not a teenager, but you know.
Okay, that brings me to my next point. And the reason why I'm lowering my rating a little bit in this movie because
Well, should we get into it?
The
Should we get into
Stockholm
it?
the Stockholm syndrome that was Tara and Slade, and I don't like this version because it's kind
I
of gross, kind
I
of
don't
weird and
know.
stuff.
I don't know anything about Tara, this character. I've never read anything with her character. I don't know anything about her. So this is my
That's
first
the whole.
introduction.
Well, there's different versions because she's Tara Markov, which is she's like it's not Russian. It's like not Czechoslovakian or whatever. It's some
Mm-hmm.
angry vodka drinking accent. And I don't. I mean, to not sound stereotypical of the fact, but it's one of those like the deep drawing, like that kind of
Yeah.
act, like Markovia, maybe. I think that's what it is. But it's like you know what I mean. She's a princess, and their whole thing is trying to fabricate DNA, and she's an experiment, and that's one version. She gets their whole um, genetic makeup in their line of family is geographical. So like um,
Yeah.
rock related. So they all have different rock powers because Geoforce has lava and shit. That's her brother, but like that's their whole thing. And then the parents, the king and queen, get murdered. Somewhere along the line, Slade abducts her because of her powers. They put her in like this weird like meta slave trade where they just fight in an underground fight
Yeah.
club.
Yeah. Well, and according to this movie, like she's
But it's always a
clearly
betrayal. There's always the stick them with the Titans, get them to trust you, fuck them over, and then she has that feeling of retribution and
well,
forgiveness.
they do like they do flashbacks when the Titans are trying to help her out and stuff because then she gets flashbacks of that experience and all that stuff. But what makes me like was like what is really funny is HBO Max's like description of it kind of spoiled this for me because it says a new member of the team might have ulterior motives. I'm like, who's the new member
Right?
of the team? Oh, Tara.
Well, yeah, there's an after credit scene, I think, in the last Teen Titans movie that had her showing up.
Yeah, yeah. But
But
okay, so her power set, and Slade says it too later. It's like it's an upgrade. Her power set is probably one of those stronger ones in this team because it's a cool power because she just her terraform, so she takes like rocks and moves shit and throws shit around.
yeah,
But
again, call back to the beginning of this episode. Great names, DC.
Terra's not bad, but Brother Blood and fucking Mother Mayhem. And we're not even talking about Jack Kirby's New Gods with Granny Goodness and
Yes.
Big
Big
Bartha.
Berta.
Big Barta.
Yeah.
Or Bert? Is it Barta?
Barda. Yeah, I think it's Barda.
I don't know. Well, she's her and Miracle Man are a thing. Or Mr. Miracle, sorry.
Mr.
Um,
Miracle.
good shit. Tom King's book on Mr. Miracle is fucking unbelievable. But getting off topic. Uh so yeah, what happens is Slade gets hired, he lures Nightwing into getting captured because he follows Tara, which makes me laugh where Tara figures out he's following him. He's following her because she goes she's an earth-based character. So she's like, "You don't think I
Kill the
wouldn't recognize vibrations?" I'm like, that's a clever bit of dialogue. I'm like, "Of course she would." Makes sense. So yeah, then the Slade and Damien fight, which was great because we get more of that. But yeah, I'll never forget when he walked up to him and he's trying to goad him, and then he's fuck it. He doesn't say fuck it, but he just like screw it and slaps him anyway. Because he fucking hates that kid. He hates him so much. He came back from the dead to kill this kid.
He makes the line of you took my old family, so now I'm gonna take your new one.
Yeah.
It's
Because
hard.
he wanted to be he wanted to be the leader of the League of Assassins. Yeah, so he kidnaps
So then they
Robin, and
the
then
whole
they
thing
set up the next part, yeah, where Tara continues her relationship with Beast, and they get everything ready to go. I want to say yes, Tara's relationship with Slade is weird, and I feel like it's creepy,
yeah,
and they make it seem that she is older than she is, and they say that she is older. Like the movie flat out says, "Hey, no, it's not a pedo thing. She's of age." I don't care. It's creepy. I don't like it. It's unnecessary. I think that it doesn't do anything for the story, in my opinion.
no,
I you could have easily made her look at him as a father figure.
yeah.
I don't
That's
know
usually how
why
it
they
is.
had to
That's why
make
I
it where
said.
she wants to fuck him. I don't know
That's
why.
why, and that's why I said is I don't like this version because in most other or all of the other versions I know is he's the he's her father figure because she was taken when she was so much younger, and he's all that she's known. And so when she's shown affection and when she's given advice, and when like Dick is stern with her and everything, it's like it's still sympathetic. It's like all I've known is being yelled at, beaten,
Yeah, I
made
mean,
to cry.
it makes
But that,
sense.
that conflict of do I really should I really be betraying these people because they've treated me better than I've ever known? And so that's why that battle in between in her brain of I want this man that has raised me, basically my father, or this new family that actually I feel like they care about me.
Yeah, but my I guess my problem too is you could have done that because we touched on like yeah we've touched on like the dynamic with all of their parents and things like that, and their own trauma and shit like that, and you could have done it in a way that didn't come off sexual. I just think that it was an unnecessary change or an unnecessary approach to this. I think yeah, it would make sense with her history of abuse, why she would be with an abuser. Yeah, that all makes sense. But I just you could have done it in a better way. I think that whole thing is just really clunky. The Jaime stuff where he's has a thing for a girl, and then the Scarab freaks out because
Yeah.
of his blood pressure, and he has to explain to the Scarab there's this thing called sexual attraction, and I'm just like it's again they did it. I think this job or this movie has a lot more humor to it, and I think it works better too, where they actually have like that awkwardness of being a teenager, and they have the awkwardness of having to explain to his this suit like, hey, I'm just this I just
Get the boner.
she just yeah just give me a little tingle in my boxers is all I'm saying, you know. But was really cool, really sad because yeah, we find out that Tara has ulterior motives, and she has a nice conversation with Gar, and she talks to him about her past a little bit, and he pretty much says all the things where he's like, "Hey man, we're all fucking broken around here. Everybody," and he said the truest thing a character I think is said in one of these, and it because it's the theme in Marvel, it's the theme in DC, it's the theme in all of these, where he says pain is what makes you a hero. I was like, oh, that was a really nice scene, really sentimental. She finally kisses him. And again, it gives me that nostalgia of when you were when I was a teenage boy, and it was like this girl that I was crushing on finally kisses me, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, and like, so
he's dancing around, changing from animal to animal,
and
like
it's a very relatable scene,
I mean, I actually don't do that until she's out of the room for to save myself the embarrassment. But
of course,
it's
just all right. So we get to the third act of this movie. But before then, Slade is already turned up at the apartment, which was I love this so much. So again, Dick gets a cool scene of like him figuring out how all the Titans got attacked or got captured, and they do this cool like him finding at the crime scene and then playing it out in his head of what would happen, like recreating the crime scene. Best one was the Beast Boy, the Kevin Smith thing. So he's trying to get a chance to win an opportunity to be a guest on a Kevin Smith podcast. So he shows up and the button is like, you just hit the button for yes, you want to try and audition for the show. So he just goes, okay. He leans over and hits it. It literally just shoots arrows right directly at him. And then Dick goes, oh, Gar, come on. Like,
because it was just said, do not press. And so he's just like,
yeah, it was the most obvious thing to like get him. But, so he's trying to get Cora and tell her like, hey, the shit's compromised. They're onto us. Gets back to his apartment. Slade's waiting for him. We have the fight we already talked about where he's like, you're spacing his shit, and he's beating the shit out of him. But they're
dislocates his shoulder.
Oh yeah, so he's falling, dislocates his shoulder. So at one point he is fighting Deathstroke with one arm, and then Deathstroke, as he's trying to throw a knife at him, Deathstroke shoots Nightwing and he falls over. First thought in my head is like, well, he ain't dead because there's no blood. Like, I know it's PG-13, but even in this, when people get shot, you'd see blood. I'm like, he's not dead.
That was really cool because he's using this like board to like stop knives and different shit.
Oh, that whole fight scene was awesome. That chase where they're running through the market.
This movie slaps.
There's some really good action in this movie.
I enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah.
But when he gets up out of the water and he unzips his jacket, and he pulls the board that he was using the whole time and his shirt like that. That's just stupid, quick shit that only a fucking crazy person from the Bat family would think of,
Yeah. Someone who's always fighting for their life. But yeah, so he's not dead, so he'll clearly show up in the third act because that's how stories work. So we find out that the Judas Contract was not to kill the Teen Titans per se, like kill them in a traditional sense. No. Slade was capturing them because earlier in the movie we saw one of Brother Blood's disciples essentially get pumped full of superpowers, and we find out that he's created a machine and he wants to get all the Teen Titans together and take all their powers and put them into himself so he could become a god.
Straight up, they just be like, hey, thanks for your service.
Yeah, you bang, and they shoot him in the face.
Which, after credit scene, he didn't die. So there's that.
Wow, spoilers. So here's another thing that I thought was funny about the writing. It was pretty silly to me. The betrayal of Tara makes sense, but the explanation for Slade's betrayal doesn't make sense because they said we need every Titan. Where's Nightwing? Nightwing doesn't have powers. What would Nightwing bring to this? This is why it's stupid. No. Let me cook. Because the only reason that is there is a plot device to have Slade betray Tara because it doesn't make any sense. Dick doesn't have powers.
Because they wanted the life source.
I know, but
because that's the same reason why they got Damien up there. You don't have shit.
Because when that betrayal happens, I was like, I connected the dots because I was like, well, Dick doesn't even have, and he's like, well, But it
She
wasn't.
was part of it the whole time.
I know
Because
it was an effective twist.
Because Dick's not a Titan.
Yeah.
Tara was the Titan. It was
Well,
the ruse
well,
the whole time.
we got to take a break here before we wrap things up and we wrap up this story. I'm just saying, a little obvious. So, look, all I'm saying is kind of right in front of our faces the whole time. So, which was I will say, the whole execution of Slade betraying Tara was pretty good. Where she goes, "There's a sixth pod. We need a sixth person in there. You understand that's how the contract works." And Slade just nods. So then Tara gets thrown in there, and she's like, "What the hell?" And he's just like, "Hey, man, contract's a contract." Like, again, great. He's a villain. I love it when these show. I don't know about you, but I've just been noticing more and more that we see like stories go out of their way to like make you kind of sympathize with the villain a little bit too much.
Yep.
And I like how this one is just like, no, he's just a fuckhead. He's just a bad dude, and he betrayed this person. I love. He has no remorse, and that's great because he's a goddamn hitman. Of course, he's not gonna have any remorse. But this was sick. Like Nightwing coming in and saving him was awesome. I love that because they get him pumped up. He gets a good portion of the powers, and then as it's happening, the dudes are like getting taken out because Nightwing's running in. He throws a batarang, destroys the thing, gets free, but he didn't get there quick enough because Brother Blood has gotten their powers, so now they're fighting them. Damian and Dick run off to fight Slade, which is funny to me because it's like guys without powers over here and fight, everybody else with powers over here and fight. Which honestly, I don't have a problem with it because it would make sense. Like Damian and Dick would fight Slade over on the other side because they're like, we're not dealing with superpowers.
Yeah, we can't keep up with that shit.
Yeah, we're not gonna fucking fight them. We're going over here.
But it's a callback straight up, like almost word for word, because right before this happens, Damien and Tara have a back and forth, and he's saying he's just giving you the Stockholm, and he's telling you everything that you've ever wanted.
Classic abusive relationship.
He's just telling you to get what he wants out of you, and
just like Raish did to him.
And then, like right as he walks in, he says, "Then we could be together," and it's like that's what she's wanted this whole fucking time.
Yep.
And she realizes a little bit right there. And then she goes
dangling that carrot,
gives herself some black lipstick and an undercut, and she's just straight spiky hair in the shit. And that's when the whole betrayal happens. And then we get a weird, unnecessary shrieking moment from Tara. And I'm just like, wow, we could have just had a moment of her just doing the thing, but she has this like battle cry screech. I watch with subtitles too, so I always get the added loud screeching, like in the times of that. I thought I was dumb, but anyway, her and Slade's fight because she comes out of her little, I don't know, sleep from being drained of her life. I guess
she was coming out of her cage and she was doing just fine.
Yeah, and so the whole fight with her and Slade because she's pissed that she did all that stuff for him and he doesn't give two shits. I feel like their whole fight sequence was out of order.
Yeah, because I was confused by that too because she drops these boulders and he goes, "Oh shit!"
And it's literally like kills him.
It cuts to the other fight.
And then it comes back, and then he's like running around with fucking rocks.
Yeah.
And then she brings the house down, and he's just like standing in the exact same spot from the first scene.
Sorry, kid.
And then she just flattens him, and it's like it would have been more if we had the fighting, the shit, then the avalanche. But they had it weirdly.
Yeah, it seemed like it was cut out of order. Yeah, that was weird too. Because I was really confused by that.
That will affect my score. Like I said, there's not a lot to gripe about in this movie because when I was watching it, I was like, dude, this is almost a perfect 21. This is a blackjack. But the Stockholm, weird sexual tension with Slade, not a fan.
Kind of unnecessary in my opinion.
Animation was, downgrade because of the red Nightwing. And again, I'm just picking. I'm being
That's
picky.
that's a
and,
nitpick. That's not a...
and oh, it is. Um, and then the Slade Terra fight. Those three things are the only things that I really had a problem with because this is a solid movie. Like uh, the instant nostalgia of the original Titans team when they're driving in the T car, which fantastic name, DC.
Well, I mean, shit. The Titan Tower is literally just a
It's a
giant
giant
T
T. Like
with windows. What are we doing? They're gonna see all these secret identities.
they're gonna know. They're
Um,
not gonna know.
I also think it's funny that, or funny, not really, but I think it's interesting that they brought over um the arc where Jaime is struggling with the suit from the previous movie. They brought it into this one. Funny bit about that: the suit doesn't like his dad, which I thought was funny. It's like he's
Because
talking.
it's
He's like,
this weird like girlfriend bond because he's having these weird like coming of age issues.
it's kind of like DC, and this is funny because Blue Beetle came out before them, but Jaime Reyes hasn't existed until like 2006 or something like that. Like he's fairly recent, but
He's third generation.
his version of Blue Beetle is like DC's version of Venom, where it's like it's not necessarily fully Venom because it's tech and shit, but it's
It
tied to
bonds
him.
you.
It's bonded to him, and yeah, it's sentient and all that shit.
It's from like an ancient alien race, which is it Ted Cord, the original?
Yes.
He got it or found it because he's like some weird scientist dude. Finds it, studies it, uses it as inspiration.
So I have not seen Blue
For
Beetle, so
Avenue.
I can't spoil this for you, but I heard that like they were gonna try because Ted Cord is not in this in Blue Beetle, but they said the reason for that was like if there was ever going to be a sequel or something, they were going to try and say the sequel was going to be tied to Booster Gold and Ted Cord, where like because they want to do that Booster Gold show, and the idea was going to be somehow that like Booster Gold, they find Booster Gold and they try and go because some Ted Cord isn't dead or anything. He's like lost in time or some shit. I don't know, but who
Well,
knows? Because that
the
movie
guy
didn't do well.
directed it said he wanted Jason Sudeikis, I guess, which
I could
I'm
see
not
that.
not against it, but
I saw that Sean William Scott jokingly in an interview a couple months ago was like throwing his hat in the ring to be Booster Gold, and I'm like, Stifler's Booster Gold is kind of a genius move.
yeah,
Get on it, James. Well,
because
after the strike,
there's
figure
so
it out.
many rumors circulating about it being Chris Pratt, which
Just as a joke, I hope, because
yeah, because again, like
it'd just be doing Star Lord again.
that's what I was gonna say. It's literally the same guy, but
Anyway,
I I
so
just don't care for the recasting over again in bigger roles.
it's wrapping
There's
it up. Want to say the epilogue of this is such a bizarre decision, but I love it. They got Kevin Smith to voice
yeah,
himself where he
with
does an
the
interview, which is kind of fun. So this is how they deliver the epilogue of the movie is Beast Boy is describing what's happening after the fight in this podcast. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, kind of a neat idea. And then but I will say it was kind of funny. Kevin Smith's like, yeah, so new person to come in after fucking Tara bit it, huh? Like he didn't say it like that, but
yeah.
he might as well have. And then Beast Boy is
He's like
like
too
kind of
soon, bro.
upset, and he's like, yeah, a little bit. Um, oh, what's Wonder Woman? God, what is Wonder Girl?
Yeah, it is actually Wonder Girl.
That's what I thought. So that was them
Has,
teasing
has
that
to be something.
she's on the Teen Titans now, which is cool. We're gonna do a lot with her. Um, and that's well. Also, I want to say while it's on my brain again, what a weird change up of watching this and then watching Harley Quinn. Because you had that Wonder Girl thing, and then I remember I was watching the Valentine's Day special.
Yeah,
when she tricks Wonder Woman like that to get the lasso of truth. That's what popped into my head. But overall, I think this was a fun movie, fun Teen Titans flick, and I thought it was smart that they did it with the new 52 Teen Titans, and they tried to do in showing that you can use a different lineup in the Teen Titans and make it work than what
It's like it's usually the same core characters.
which it
Like
is here. The only difference is Cyborg. They swapped out Cyborg for Blue Beetle and Terra.
And Dick and Starfire.
Right.
They're older. That's the only.
And Damian is the Robin, not Dick.
So like
or Tim.
Which again, I do enjoy this version really well.
Yeah.
I can't. But there's tiny.
Oh, I agree with you, and
that's more for me being a fan of the actual the original cast. Like that's nothing to say that the other ones are any worse or any better.
I also
I that.
And I want to be clear. I think you and I our problems with the Tara Slade relationship aren't necessarily that she presents young and looks young. That is it is a problem in my it is problematic. But I think you and I are the same in a sense that the real issue is you didn't need to make that a sexual relationship. You didn't need to have the as sexual tension. It could have just been a father-son abuse or father. Why do I keep saying it? Father-daughter abusive relationship.
The part when he betrays her and tells Starfire that Grayson is dead, and he's like, "Oh, we would have been really good at fucking each other because I killed your boyfriend and I'm killing my girlfriend."
Yeah.
That was pretty
for me my problem was the fucking obvious, well, he's gonna betray Tara here because why? Dick Grayson doesn't have powers, damn it.
Damn it.
No, the only other thing that I could think would be like a justification for that would be like he would gain his like combat knowledge, but even then it's like that's a stretch. But yeah.
His acrobatic abilities, Jacob.
You could it's just
he's able to use a sword because he gets Damian's. I mean, he's 900 years old. He probably was in the ancient war.
Funny callback. When they have him captured, Slade says that I could make you be calling me Papa and delivering me my pipe in a few days. And then once Damian gets free, he has a lead pipe and he goes, "Hey Papa, here's your pipe," and he fucking clangs it on his helmet. That was fun. But that's it. Let's rate it. All right. All right, here.
Animation.
I give it a 7. I think it's pretty solid across the board.
I say the only thing that I'm getting is the red. But I'll give it a 7 because it's pretty solid because like we point out in a lot of these other ones, none of the weird CGI animation popped out at me in this one. Like everything.
I mean, it's in there, but it's not. Yeah, it's not distracting. I would say I'm moving on. I would agree. It's 7, and for me, moving on story, I'll give it a 5 for the Tara relationship and the Dick Grayson pod. I'll never forgive it for that.
Yeah. 5. Same reasons.
Acting, I would give it a 6. I really liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Man,
Sadly,
I don't want to copy your score again, but
that's why I said 6, so I could give you a 7.
I don't know. I didn't care for Tara's voice too much.
Wow, sexist.
I am sexist, but I also, and I think I've said this before with Beast Boy is, I'm always thinking of the guy that does Michelangelo too, like crazy Chihuahua toting, ganja smoking fucking hippie dude. That's all I think about when I think of Beast Boys. When it's not him, then it's
it's kind of weird. So there you have it. There
Anyway,
you go, America. That's your
so
score. I gave it an 18.
12. Can't do math.
Did you give it the same exact score that I did?
Yeah.
Well, then it is 18. 18 out of 21. You heard it here, folks. Heard it here. I'm gonna say first.
You heard it first.
You heard it here first, folks. First. Yeah. Episode 12 in the books. Episode 13 in 2 weeks. We're gonna start. By the way, programming update. We're gonna kind of shift to doing it every 2 weeks instead of every week. Just because we got other things going on in our lives.
It's true.
Especially me. I started a new job, so blame me. If you need someone to blame me, I guess. I don't know. Suicide Squad Hell to Pay in 2 weeks. Episode 13 will be our next movie. So that's your homework. Suicide Squad Hell to Pay.
And as always,
well, have it before we go.
God damn it.
This is my first time seeing this movie.
Actually, I think this might be the first time I've seen this one too.
Yeah, and I have not.
Next time as well.
Yeah, I have not seen Suicide Squad either. So there you go. Now,
All right. As always,
for the kids.
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.